Former National MP and now a guy who works with the Family First team, Simon O'Connor. Kia ora, nice to have you in the Rhema studio.
It's great. It's great to be back. I'm freer now out of politics. Last time I was here was, a guarded political chat. Now we can say and talk whatever we want.
Just about. We have our own tikanga. We have our own rules about we've got broadcasting standards.
Oh,
and all
okay.
that,
We better apply
exactly.
those.
So rein those in a little bit. But wanting to talk about what is and isn't appropriate to say in social media. And Simon, you bring not a unique perspective, but a perspective to this discussion. Now, talking about the situation with Green MP Benjamin Doyle, who has got in trouble for some things that he said on social media before he was an MP. And the questions are being asked is whether or not those are the appropriate things and values and things to be talking about on social media as an MP. Does he get a pass, in your view, because that was in a previous life, as it were?
Not at all. When you become a member of Parliament or you're in any public role, everything you've ever done, are doing, and potentially will do, is up to public scrutiny.
Yep.
And you mentioned the word value. We want to know what the values are of our members of Parliament, regardless if they're National, Labour, Green, doesn't matter.
Yep.
So no, it was a private account, it's in the past. Those are just disruptors.
Of course, we've had examples in the not too distant past of national MPs who got up to hijinks in Otago University, for example. Mm-hmm. That's true of just about everybody that went to Otago University, but he's hung out to dry years after the fact on that one, and you've got your own story in that space in some ways.
I do, and I mean, fortunately not of the scandalous type, let's be really clear, and I'm happy to talk to that, Andrew, but you're right. I mean, the excuses at the moment is, this was private, this was the past. Well, yep, there's been multiple MPs, national and other, who have had their previous, the bedpost example of Sam Uffindell comes immediately to mind when he was 16 years old. MPs at the time had no trouble, nor the media, chasing him up, but now they're silent.
Yeah.
It just doesn't wash. No, in my case, actually, it was, again, to stress to listeners, nothing scandalous. I just celebrated a pro-life win through the Supreme Court in America, the whole Roe versus Wade. I think I said it was a great day, or it's a great day, and it was. But all of a sudden, what a hoopla. Media pile-on. I mean, got to be hard to explain it in voice, but you just have to imagine days of media chasing, harassing, calling, texting.
Simon O'Connor, National MP, hates women, as demonstrated by him saying it's a great day.
Well, here it is as an example, really, and again, for your listeners to understand, this was me giving an opinion on a topic. We're now talking with a Green MP who's, again, it's not about opinions, it's using words, language, emojis, in and around children. Like, this is a whole different level, and yet the media are doing pretty much nothing.
Yeah.
So, I get harangued for having an opinion. This guy's getting a free pass.
To be fair, though, talking about values, this is a guy that wasn't voted for by anybody apart from the Green Party. He's just filled a quota, a seat from the last Green Party MP that did get kicked out of Parliament for inappropriate behaviour. That's actually what happened, although some people would say that this individual obviously does represent some of the values of the Green Party because they're defending him so vigorously.
Yeah, they are defending him vigorously. I mean, the irony here, and you've nailed it, he's a list MP. He's bought in via the party, and yet you've got Chloe Srawbuck and others demanding others take responsibility for his actions. They're trying to blame Winston Peters or draw the Prime Minister in, just about everybody except themselves.
Yep.
So there's really only two groups or two people involved. One is Benjamin himself, who's gone into hiding and not actually responding, and two, the Green Party. And look, if he's reflecting their values as per what he's done on social media, well, then explain to the public what those values are, because at the moment, both Mr. Doyle and the Greens are doing all they can to avoid any.
You can imagine the pushback, though. You wouldn't understand, you're just a cis white male. Actually, that this is a special language that people within the gay community use, and it's absolutely appropriate, even though, look, and I'm not even going to explain the words, but if you look at it at face value, it's pretty horrific.
It is, and again, I think I said it at the start, so I've had so many conversations around this, I'm forgetting who and what I've been saying, but this is not just one word. There's a whole litany of activity here, which is raising red flags that any reasonable person would go, hey, we just need to delve into this a little deeper. The whole, oh, well, this reflects the LGBT community, that's just insulting, actually, to a number of those people who are going, this is not us. And the other is, Chloe Asams-Rohrbach was saying, it's all about context. Okay, if it is, explain it. And where's the media in this? So kudos to you guys to actually discuss this, but most of mainstream media are not even asking those questions.
The other thing that is being hidden behind here is the fact that there's been apparently a huge volume of death threats and violence issued at this particular MP, that this has now become a matter of personal safety for them and their family. Simon, you've been there, you've been an MP, you say something that people don't like, they say something nasty about you on Facebook. This is the world which we live. Did you ever have death threats, though? Did it get that serious for you?
Oh, absolutely. Death threats, rape threats, threats against my family. When they were ultra serious, you would, I suppose, and credible, would flag them. But one thing I never did was make it public. Yep. I don't think that achieves anything. And secondly, for me personally, it's not about trying to portray myself as victim, which is what's happening here, to put a pure political lens on it. And let's be really clear, Andrew, as I'm sure everyone is, threats, vile comments towards MPs, regardless of what you think, is wrong. Yep. We're not endorsing that. But the Greens are deploying this at the moment to try and make Benjamin the victim and to close down debate. And this is not the first time that particularly Green MPs, but also from Labour, run after we've had death threats, we've had nasty emails. As I say, you will find people like myself never talked about that in public. Yeah. Again, we don't need to be making excuses to shut down discussion, and that's exactly what they're doing here.
When it comes to free speech, and this is something I was talking about with the Free Speech Union earlier in the week, there's a difference between what we do professionally and what we do privately. I mean, we're the same person, and hopefully, there's some connection between that. But if somebody is in a profession, be it politics or some other profession, does that mean that anything that they say on social media can reflect badly on that profession, and there can be consequences to saying things on social media? There certainly was for you.
Yeah, I mean, in my case, I was a member of Parliament and opining, and as I say, a huge pile-on because I didn't like my opinion. In this case, we're dealing with something which looks actually problematic, morally, ethically, perhaps even criminally. Who knows? There's no explanation. MPs live in a very public bubble, so there really isn't a distinction between your private and public life. I think if you're one of the likes of the Free Speech Union, I'd lean into what they're saying. If you're in a corporate role, for example, what you say on your private accounts, that's up to you. Yep. You can make a distinction, but not with members of Parliament. And as I said at the start,
there's a higher level, a higher calling, perhaps, for that higher standard.
I think it's a higher standard. Again, you're in public office, and it's part of the deal. You know that you're going to be scrutinised, including what you've done and said in the past, because that's an indicator of what you're going to do in the future. And again, what's happening with the Greens at the moment? This is serious at first glance. It's all allegations. Let's be really clear about that. It's all allegations, but there's just no answers in response to it. And I just keep coming back to a lot of people, media in particular, should be chasing this up in a way that they've chased just about every other MP up. You mentioned National. I was there when it was like one scandal after another, and the media rightly pursued them. But here, there's just like tumbleweeds rolling through, like nothing to see here. It's just part of the rainbow community. We can't question them. And that's just wrong.
Is this, in some ways, any news is good news, particularly when you're a minor party that you're struggling to get oxygen with the regular news churn? It seems to be that the smaller parties are the ones that are always in the headlines, sometimes for very bad reasons. But it is drawing attention to their banner, their ideology, if you like. I'm not saying this is a political conspiracy theory, but might this be good news for the Greens?
Not in this case. In general, I actually agree with you. A lot of minor parties, any noises, as you say, good noise, because most of us are so busy that we're only just vaguely picking up on the news and not the details. So you just, ACT's been saying this or National's been saying that. We won't know the what, but we know that they're just speaking. Unfortunately for the Greens, or fortunately, depending on one's political persuasion, and everyone knows mine, the news is all bad. So even if news about the Greens is just vaguely washing over people, they know it's all bad. Because you've got obviously the Benjamin Doyle situation. We've got, is it Tamitha Paul wanting to defund the police, and then we've had the shoplifting, and it's been one bad thing after another. This is all bad for the Greens. Although, you have to say, very quickly, they're still holding their polls, which mean that, their diehard supporters ain't going anywhere.
They do have a core, although it would seem that core has shifted quite a lot. This isn't the environmental party that it used to be, perhaps.
No, there was something, I don't know where it was today, but a former Green MP, Stephen Browning, he and I were in Parliament together. He's very much saying that, Andrew, that they've moved from their environmental focus to social justice, which they have. And they're allowed to. It's still a free country, but it has shifted. But every party has their core base.
Yeah.
So again, when National was going through all its troubles, scandals, and leaders, the core voters stuck with us.
Hey, appreciate your insight on this particular matter. Wonderful to have you in the studio. Thanks for joining us today.
Pleasure.
Hey, thanks very much for joining us in the Rhema studio. Thanks very much for watching the interview. It's kind of nice to have an audience, actually. And if you did like what you watched, then do give us a like, do give us the thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more interviews like that one, or perhaps even better, subscribe and those interviews will come straight to you. Don't forget to turn on your notifications, and we'll see you in the next one. Cheers.